Letters of recommendation are important no matter what stage of graduate process you are in. Whether you are a prospect graduate student just getting your graduate application ready for grad admission, or if you're a fourth-year PhD preparing to get out of here and apply to postdocs and fellowships, you're probably going to need a letter of rec. So today I thought we should talk about the most important considerations for letters of recommendation. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything grad life, grad advice, and research. And in today's videos, we are discussing strategies for picking the perfect letters of recommendation. Now, when you're applying to anything, you always want to be strategic with what you are including within your application. And this also applies to your letters of rec. Your application is not just trying to demonstrate who you are, but also why you fit into this program and how the specifics of this program will help you succeed and meet your future goals, academically and professionally. So when you are approaching your letters of recommendation, you want to really think about how your letters of rec fit into the application and not just fit for you. In other words, a letter of rec is not just there to vouch for your character or your smartness or your professionalism, but rather, if possible, they should be able to vouch for very specific and detailed parts of your application and your skill sets, so you have a second eye or a second support hand to demonstrate that you are not lying in your application and that other people have seen you succeed at whatever you're trying to demonstrate. So for example, if you're applying to a research abroad grant, and the research abroad grant really wants somebody who can speak a foreign language fluently, that is comfortable with living abroad, and is really good at a specific method, then you should probably find somebody who has experienced you living abroad, who speaks that language natively and has had conversations with you, and a professor or somebody who's really familiar or well known with this specific method that can vouch that you have the ability to do this type of research. So in this way, it's not necessarily just the people who know you best as a person, but really can speak to specific skill sets or specific goals that you're trying to demonstrate within your application. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you just ask anybody to write a letter of rec if they seem like an expert or if they fit the needs of the application, because you also want to consider what they can say about you. And this one seems like the most obvious or common understanding of what you need for a letter of rec. But in conjunction with the previous tip, you really want to reflect what exactly can you help them say about you in relation to your application. Again, a letter of rec is not just speaking on your behalf or how they fit you, but rather how they fit your application as an entire argument in relation to the needs or the calls of the specific graduate program or the specific grant or fellowship. So I guess it's important to say generally most applications don't really care about your character. Unless it's a very specific grant or fellowship that is all about character, most of the times they're really just interested in what skill sets you have and what goals you can achieve during either the graduate program or the fellowship. So when you're thinking about your letters of rec, you've already decided, okay, who would be the best people to talk about specific parts of your application that you want to demonstrate. Now you want to guide them to say something that reinforces what you've already written. So one way to do that is by sharing your graduate application with your letters of rec. Now this is just a good practice generally, so they know what your goals are and they have an idea of how to support you. And if they're really good letter of recommendation writers, then they'll just naturally be able to pick out the big parts that they can talk about to support your argument. But it's always good to be safe than sorry. And so another way you can support your letters of rec in making sure that they are saying exactly what you need them to say is by giving them a supplemental document. And this supplemental document I usually call like my diversity statement or my background statement or my statement of goals. I call it whatever I want, but it's not a part of the official application, and it's something that I draft specifically for my letters of rec. And in this document, I essentially map out exactly what I want them to say without putting the words in their own mouth. So I draft this document, and then with my application, I let them know I added an additional supplemental document that further explains the things that I'm working on and the way I'm imagining my project, if it will help you write your letter. So in this way, they can see there's a way you're talking about it within your application that will go to the grant, and then there's a special way that you're writing about it for them so they understand what's important. And that is a great way to encourage faculty, friends, former employers, anybody to really understand what are the hard-hitting things besides saying they're a great person, they're a hard worker, but really getting them to say specifics. And that type of specifics from your letters of rec can really make or break you. And so by making that process really easy for them, it's a strong way to make sure that your letters of rec are very powerful and support your application in a way that is easy for the reviewers or the committees to look at your application and quickly identify what is it that matters most and how is it related to whatever you're trying to demonstrate within your application. And this is relevant for anybody, right? If you're applying to graduate school or grant or fellowship, our professors, our faculty, our old managers, our coworkers, our friends, whatever, are all pretty busy and generally may not remember every detail of their relationship with you. So by writing in these supplemental documents, like reminder in your class, I got A's and you really appreciated that I was able to do this, this, and this. And also I'm really good at this, this, and this, which has led me to do this special thing, helps again jog their memory into who you are, what you're about, and how they can talk about you in a powerful and strong way. And you could even write it in such a way where you suggest, hey, if you don't have time or if you don't want to write it, feel free to take language from this document as you see fit. Now, if your letters of rec are super relevant to your application, then that supplemental document may not be as important. And when I say relevant, you're really thinking about how related can the letters of recommendation be to the actual application, right? So for people who are applying to graduate school, do you have any faculty that you went to undergrad with that went to that university that you're applying to, or has that degree that you are applying to? And so they kind of already know what the expectations are or what are the requirements for a good, successful graduate student within that field or within that university. For people applying to grants or fellowships, it's really amazing if you can find or work with faculty who have won grants, awards, or fellowships with that specific foundation or organization, who already kind of know how to write applications for them. So in this way, this idea of relevant is not just towards you and your application either. This is an added step. Not the most important thing. It won't make or break you if the first two are very strong, if they know what to say about you and that they talk about very specific things related to your application and what you're trying to highlight. But if you can find somebody, you have an added layer of support or specificity that can help strengthen your application through your letters of rec. So for example, if I'm applying to the Getty Museum for an internship or a postdoc or a fellowship, I know at UCLA that I have good relationships with one specific faculty that has been a Getty Fellow for an extended period of time. And so I feel very comfortable with asking that specific faculty member to be my letter of rec, because I know she knows what they want to hear, what makes a strong candidate, and is still affiliated with the institution. And so in that way, it just bolsters up your argument that you belong there and that you will succeed, because you have somebody who is a part of the institution, has been a part of the institution, that knows the institution, vouching for you. And even if they're no longer a part of it, because they've won before, again, they know what they are looking for. So just keeping that idea of relevance in the back of your mind can always be a helpful tip to just give you just the added edge, the added amount of support to get you exactly to where you need to go. Okay, and this next one's a little more difficult to figure out or have as an exact science, but basically you kind of want to know what their success rate is. So a way you can do this is just by trying to get to know or observe the other people that they've written letters of recommendation. Will also help you figure out if this person is good at writing letters. And there's a variety of reasons that a faculty member may not be good at writing letters. They may just genuinely not be good. They may be apathetic and just not that invested in their students at all. Or they may just be really, really busy, and a lot of the times it's rushed. Regardless, all of these reasons are good enough reasons to just decide not to include them on your list of letters of recommendation. And let's be honest, finding good letters of recommendation often requires a lot more behind the scene work than just these few tips. You have to be ready to network. You have to be good at communicating what your project is and what your goals are, and feel comfortable talking and being honest and vulnerable with your faculty. So if you're interested in hearing more grad advice, seeing more grad life, and learning about everything research, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, if you found at least 2 things useful in this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. And please leave comments and questions down below so I can prepare more valuable videos for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.